Morning, Dr. Goos. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me this morning.
Well, it's my pleasure, Heather. It's a momentous occasion we're going to talk about.
Indeed. Congratulations. 30 years. What a remarkable milestone.
It just makes me feel old, but luckily I don't feel old. And actually, looking back on 30 years re-energizes me and makes me look forward to the next 30 years.
Well, you certainly don't look old. You've taken good care of your skin.
Well, as I have learned from raising kids, you need to lead by example.
Yes. Let's dive in. You have a remarkably strong entrepreneurial spirit. Just a few years out of residency, you founded your own practice.
I guess that is true. It wasn't that unusual 30 years ago to have a solo practice. Things were a lot simpler then. However, I think I was entrepreneurial in that I had a vision for a much larger integrated practice over time. Practice was interesting then. You don't need an IT department when everything is on paper. I did have a vision for a larger, more integrated practice. I always wanted to have a group of colleagues that I could learn from, and what that turned out to be is bringing in people with different areas of expertise into the practice, and ultimately it best served our patients and it best served the culture of the practice, that is learning from each other, always looking to provide the highest level of care for our patients. My ultimate vision for the practice was really to have a practice that I'd be proud to say I was part of, some sort of practice that I would love to refer a family member, a friend, a colleague, always knowing that the best care was available for them. So I think naturally we grew over time because patients appreciated what we were providing for them. Ultimately, I think I define an entrepreneur as someone willing to learn by their mistakes and willing to move on. And I think that's something I've learned to do. None of this was cookbook. It was really a little bit of fits and starts and listening to our patients, listening to the referring doctors.
Tell me more about the early days. You suggested growing in fits and starts and that this wasn't a cookbook. Tell me more about what did that look like early on?
Sure. Well, early on it was, I had 3 employees. So the idea of building a team was pretty easy because we were all sharing the same room at the same time, all the time. We all had to do each other's jobs. I had a nurse, Lucy. Lucy had carried over with me from my previous job and in APDerm continued for 27 years. I'm forever grateful for Lucy. And she really helped hold together the clinical integrity of the practice over time and kept me on mission. And then I had a front desk receptionist and a manager. So the manager is very different than what we think of today. She had to do payroll, she had to do billing submissions, she had to jump into the front desk. I had to jump into the front desk. I had to make appointments for patients, but everything was on paper, so I could handle it. I'm really not an IT guru. I always see IT as everything is a black box. And just tell me it works. But again, it's all about being adaptable as things change, to change along with it. I really feel like what allowed us to grow significantly was the adoption of electronic medical records. Because that really brought together the idea of having multiple offices centrally overseen and supported, and everyone being on the same page electronically at the same time.
Right.
So that's really what was the game changer for allowing a practice like ours to grow over time.
That must have been a huge transition when you brought in an electronic medical record.
Oh yes, it was very painful. So I understand everyone as they go through different transitions. Bringing on paper to electronic. We were like gripping tightly in one hand, our paper record, while we had the computer, in front of us on the other hand, trying to get all this information over here into this computer over here. And we set it up so we had 3 visits that we could do it, and then that paper record was tucked away forever. That was our little blankie that we depended on to be in our grip. And once we made that transformation, I know myself, I was so grateful that I had taken typing in high school, because I'd completely forgotten that skill. And when it came back to me, luckily I was able to move on and just take care of patients the way I wanted to.